That was a close one, Spring. A game in which the LA Kings were playing without $42 million worth of players. That's 44% of the NHL's salary cap. The Avs escape with a 4-2 win thanks to a late power play goal. Yes, it's an empty netter with 2 seconds to go, but it still counts as a power play goal from Marty Necas. The top line was sensational tonight. The refereeing was questionable at very best, but LA, being shorthanded, gave you their very best. 36 hits thrown at the Avalanche, which is the most by any other opponent. The numbers 2 and 3 this season, the LA Kings and the LA Kings. But you know what? The Avs beat them in all 3 hockey games.
You know what? They are a shorthanded team, but it's still a good top line of Kopitar in his final season. Thought he looked good tonight in his last hurrah here. Adrian Kempe and the newly acquired Artemi Panarin. That's still a dangerous line. Somehow Anton Forsberg turned into Patrick Waugh, and he looked like shit in the first half of this game. He's not a very good goaltender. And then somehow, like, there was a little Olofsson had this look on the right side that Forsberg just gets over with a pad. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? But the Avs, like, that third period, that was it. That's what we've been waiting for. They played excellent. They were determined. They were relentless. Forsberg had to make phenomenal saves to keep them out of the net until ultimately they couldn't. That to me, that's the best that they've looked in some time in that third period tonight. That's why they won the game. They were just not to be denied. And eventually, Anton Forsberg, your superpowers can only last so long. You will get beaten if they play at that level.
Yeah, there were some very sketchy moments in that third period, despite playing well, and they did handle the puck. It was like a 75-25 split in terms of puck possession tonight for the entirety of the game, and I feel as though it felt that way in the third period too, but there were some sketchy moments, right? A couple of times where LA hems you in your own zone. Mackenzie Blackwood has to make a couple of saves, namely, I think it was an Adrian Kempe one-timer that he took from the high slot, and Blackwood had to fight off either a right toe pad save or he had to fight it off with his blocker, and that could have been a 3-2 lead for LA like that. And then you're talking about nightmare scenario. The other one was Gabe Landeskog picking up a stick in front of the net, so you had to have a couple of really good defensive plays, but you hit it on the head. They dominated offensive possession in terms of the top line and their cycle plays, and it was shown in that third goal, right? You have a backdoor feed to Gabriel Landeskog that gets stuffed by Anton Forsberg. That was his third grade A save of that third period, and what do? They just put their nose back to the grindstone. They don't force anything. They reload the puck up top. They run a double high cycle, and Devon Taves gets lost on the back door, and another gorgeous pass from Nathan McKinnon puts the Avs up 3-2 for good.
Yeah, the passing was unreal on the game winner, and that was the dam breaking. You could feel that coming. The play was too elite. Everything was too crisp. And good. No overtime. Didn't need that BS because I thought we were heading in that direction. I really thought we were heading to overtime. But 5-on-5, the Avs got it done. And they didn't have a power play in this game until the very end. Of course, the Kings do get a power play goal. And of course, when you go against the Avs, who are awful on the power play, that means you score 5 seconds in just to rub it in their faces. So that's what LA did. And then we had the goal that wasn't the Nature's goal that was blown dead just beforehand when it shouldn't have been. I hate premature whistle blows. And how about Angus Booth scoring?
What a name, Angus Booth.
Angus Booth. Wow.
scores his first goal in his first NHL game. Spring, there were 3 LA Kings players who made their debut this evening. Again, if you're playing without $42 million worth of players, you probably have to play some guys who haven't been in the NHL either at all or haven't been in the NHL very much. And that's what they did tonight under DJ Moore, making his LA Kings interim head coaching debut. He was the head coach of the Ottawa Senators between 2019 and 2023. He was fired after the Sens failed to make the playoffs in those seasons. He replaces Jim Hiller, who made the playoffs all 3 years at the helm, rather in 2 of his 2.5 years at the helm of LA, but it looked as though there were some diminishing returns. This loss may push LA into cellar territory, which is really amazing because, well, what did they do before the Olympics, Spring? They traded for Artemi Panarin, who is like the best player available.
Oh, maybe you trade him again. Maybe he gets the Mikko Rantanen treatment, except this time the Kings, it was just a bunch of injuries and stuff like that. Yes, you're going to say something?
He did extend. Panarin
he extended. Okay.
2-year extension with LA.
Well, who knows? That 8th seed in the West is, how far back are they?
I think they're now 5 points back, question mark. And they have to climb over Nashville and Utah to get there.
Okay. I'm trying to Google Angus Booth and see if I can learn about this guy.
Angus Booth played his youth hockey in the Quebec Major Junior League and the Quebec Major Junior Pipelines. He played for, I think, Shawnigan for 3 or 4 years. Angus Booth feels like he should be from Wyoming. No, he is from French-speaking Canada.
Okay. And I do you know any other Anguses?
No.
I know the steak.
I don't know an Angus.
I know Colonel Angus.
Who's Colonel Angus?
Colonel Angus?
I
just watched.
I just watched
that SNL sketch not too long ago. Happened to stumble upon that gem.
Famous Angus.
Watch Colonel Angus.
This is a very Kreckman and Lindahl thing for us to do. Oh, Angus Young from AC/DC. How dare we?
Okay.
That's probably the most famous
honestly,
Angus.
You know, I was a wee lad when AC/DC was at their peak, so hell yeah.
Here's some other ones. Alan Angus, who died in 1988, was an Australian racing cyclist.
Hell yeah.
There's a bunch of them. I've never heard of any of these guys. A lot of Canadian politicians and Canadian lawyers. So what I'm learning is that Angus is a very Canadian-coded name.
I get Canadian vibes. Yeah. Now that I initially I was with you on, you know, it sounds like you should be from Texas or something like that. But no, that's the Great North. Angus is way up there.
Richard B. Angus, born in 1831, or Dick B. Angus, as he was known to his buddies, was a Canadian railroad financier. Old Dick Angus.
Dick Angus. He once did work with Dick Hammer, who is the grandfather of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, so Angus, not Dick Angus, but Angus.
Angus Booth.
Angus Booth.
Who got 12 minutes and 18. He got 12 minutes and 18 seconds tonight. The lowest played D-man for the Kings tonight. Who are hurt and needed some dudes, and one of those dudes is Angus Booth. Sick little goal. Cute little redirect tip. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, for a young defenseman showing up on the blue paint, that's not normally what you do. Typically, when you are playing your first NHL game as a D-man, you're like, I'm allergic to anything below the tops of the circles. I'm going to sit back and make sure I don't get scored on. Speaking of getting scored on and, well, not getting scored on, the Avs have a goal called off in the second period that would have made this game way different. Colorado was dominating possession up 2-1. Nate just pokes a puck in. That was like the easiest goal he scored all season, or so we thought, until the power play goal that he scored with the empty net. I think it would have changed the feeling of that game because that was a nervous energy for a lot of people watching the Avs. Are they going to lose this game? Are they going to have to go into overtime where they suck? It was a bad call, Spring, and I know the letter of the law for referees. Guys, having coached for many years, I understand the plight of the referee. I get it. When you lose sight of the puck, you are meant to blow the whistle. It was still a very quick whistle for a goaltender that was not under duress. There were guys around him, but it's not like there were bodies actively bearing down on him and bearing down on his glove. That's where I would have gone quick whistle if there were guys right on top of Anton Forsberg. But even though Marty Necas was a stick length away, it really wasn't a dangerous play where you had to blow that whistle immediately. It was a bad whistle. It was a quick whistle, and it cost the Avs. I got to be honest, it might cost the Avs tomorrow night.
Why is that?
Because I think it would have been a much easier game to play in the second and the third period rather than gripping and running Nathan MacKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog and Marty Necas out there shift in and shift out in the third period.
True. But you also could have seen the Avs kind of go into that let's not be as aggressive mode. Now LA's tied it at 3 because they fought their asses off because it was a 2-2 game in the third, knowing they still needed the go-ahead goal. And maybe they needed that because they've been playing like their B minus game of late, even, getting some wins, more losses than usual, even going back to before the break. Still playing well, like B minus. That was the first like truly A period I've seen from this team in a hot second. So maybe they needed that. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, you want to score as many goals as possible, and you want to give yourself as much comfort and cushion as possible. You'd like and especially because Forsberg, like I don't know, a switch flips in him after that, like getting bailed out there. Maybe that lit him up because that's kind of what he was all game. Leaky, things were kind of just getting through him a little bit. So and the refs having seen that over the course of the game, that should make you think even further. I need to make sure this puck is covered because this guy's been leaky tonight. He was not on his A game by any means until after that. So yeah, way too quick of a whistle. I've lasted much longer in other scenarios. I mean, and it wasn't much longer than that. That's how quick.
But it was longer than that.
That's how quick that was. And you mentioned real quick, DJ Smith, interim coach for the Kings, thought he screwed up late. He was hemming and hawing with getting Forsberg out.
Yep.
And getting an extra attacker on.
Yep.
And there was confusion from the Kings. I also thought Artemi Panarin in that late. I mean, we've been talking so much about the Nuggets clutch time. That was clutch time for the Kings there. You can get it done in the 6-on-5 if you execute properly. I thought Panarin was out of control. His turnover led to the empty netter. I know it was kind of over at that point, but still. It was the penalty. The penalty on Necas that iced the game, that put the Avs on the power play. Panarin just, I don't know. He just looked out of his skis late in that game. And like I said, the coach waited too long. And they didn't have Darcy Kemper tonight. He's under the weather. Forsberg was good in the back half of that game, but Kemper's a much better goalie than he is.
Yeah, better goaltender than Forsberg. I don't think it hurt them tonight to have Forsberg. He was the number one star of the game and he made 6 or 7 grade A stops on Colorado tonight that kept this thing tied for the majority. I agree. I think DJ Smith screwed up because LA had Colorado in the zone. They had established pressure. You could hear Mosier and Riker calling for it. You could hear Connor McGahey calling for it on the radio call. I had both of them go into my ears. I was doing the same thing. I go, how is this not a 6-on-5 right now? Colorado looks tired right now. They can't get out of the zone. Brent Burns had I say that knowing Brent Burns had a really good game. He was super solid, but late in that third period, a couple of turnovers in his own end and failure to get the puck out. That it looked like a first-time head coach, and DJ Smith is not a first-time head coach.
Sure. Yeah. So little things. And, Jared Bednar is always, I mean, how many times do we ever criticize him about a little game management details like that? The only criticism this team has faced is the power play. And Dave Axtell is the guy getting most of the hate, even though Jared Bednar has his hands in all of this. But hey, the power play, it's due. It just remains due. Didn't need it tonight in this game. You mentioned Brent Burns and his good game, and that made me want to mention that I thought this was Brett Kulak's best game. This is a game where I needed more physical, had a big bomb from the points, and there was kind of a couple shifts that I thought Malinsky and Burns pairing had middle portion of this game where the physicality started to kind of ramp up from them and who they were out there with. So finally, and it makes sense, I think a few games in, Kulak getting feeding his skates underneath him, figuring everything out. He looked like that reliable, larger, solid defenseman that he's supposed to be. He's a little ghosty to me in the first few games. Saw him making an impact tonight.
And Kulak isn't an overly physical guy. Like, he's not going to light up the hit stat. But what he will do is he'll contact a forward, right? He will close space quickly, and he'll basically take that forward out of the play. You'll go stick first, puck on stick, and then you'll kind of like bear hug the forward rather than throwing this, this big time Rob Blake hip check or this Josh Manson open ice neutral zone hit. He's going to be the type of guy that when he's within 2 stick lengths of someone, when he's going to make an impact, like you said today, was stick on stick, and I'm just going to ride you into the boards, and then I'm going to get back to my spot. So don't look at him as a player that is like, 6'1", and he's bigger than Sam Girard, so he should be going out and killing people. He kills plays. He doesn't kill players.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. And also, the bar was extremely low because that was Sam Girard's deficiency. A couple goals before he got traded where he has an opportunity to kind of just push somebody around a little bit and he doesn't do it. Yeah, now Kulak's not, 6'1's not huge and he's not going to be that gigantic open ice hitter, but he'll move you. He'll make you feel it a little bit more. You're going to miss a couple extra skill offensive plays, but you don't need that from your 6D.
No, you don't.
And he will surprise. Like, he's solid. He'll make good passes. He'll make smart decisions. So, yeah, I saw the vision tonight with Brett Kulak.
Avs a 4-2 win over LA. They'll take on the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow. Spring, we did have a trade earlier today in the NHL as the deadline looms Friday afternoon, 1 p.m. Mountain. Just was that 5 hours, I think, before they dropped the puck, maybe 4 hours before they dropped the puck in Dallas against the Stars. The only trade today, the Edmonton Oilers acquire right-handed defenseman Connor Murphy from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for a 2028 second-round pick. Chicago does retain half of Murphy's $4.4 million salary. He is an unrestricted free agent this coming offseason.
Yeah, you brought his name up when we were talking about the Blackhawks as some of their good pieces. And, man, he's already 32 years old. He feels younger than that.
Doesn't he?
He does feel younger than 32. Yeah, he's been with that team for a while. He was like that bridge he was on that bridge from when the Blackhawks were good to then they sucked. Hey, like they're going to go for it, man. The Oilers are going to go for it. The Knights, who did they acquire? Defenseman Rasmus Anderson. The Stars are doing something. Stars are playing well right now. Minnesota's going to do something.
Did you hear what Jim Nill said?
No.
So Jim Nill, the general manager of Dallas, said it was either early today or late yesterday. Someone was asking him about are you guys going to make another big swing, right? Because Dallas has been heavily linked to players like Ryan O'Reilly and Nazem Kadri in terms of the rumor mill, not necessarily, hey, these guys have inquired about these players. It's more been along the lines of if someone the teams that could use Nazem Kadri, Dallas is going to be that team. Jim Nill came out today and went, don't expect us to make a big-time move. And he mentioned Jason Robertson, who, by the way, scored his 34th goal of the year. What a tough snub for him to not have a gold medal around his neck for Team USA. Scored his 34th goal of the season this year. Jim Nill was like, Jason Robertson is up. I have other players that extensions kick in. Like Thomas Harley's extension kicks in, and he's making $10.5 or $11 million starting next year. Nill was like, I can't afford Nazem Kadri unless Calgary decides to retain 50%. And Calgary's pretty much told people, we're really not willing to do that unless you blow our socks off.
Yeah, Kadri's that's what's tough for the Avs is even if Calgary retains salary, there's a handful of years left on that thing, and Cale will have been paid firmly by then. And if you're Calgary, like, man, do you really want to eat half that salary for a few more years? Just look at that number. They're thinking in 2-3 years they can, rebuild this thing a little bit, get it back to, like, you got to get a little lucky, but get it back to something of some respectability. And you don't want to just be staring at $3.5 million that season of nothing that's going to Kadri on another team. But look, Nashville losing a couple games here recently. Because remember, they were up 2-0 in Dallas, and then you texted me later that night and you said Preds blew it. And then they lost to Nashville in a day game yesterday, or to Detroit, excuse me. Nashville did in a day game yesterday. So, dude, just give me O'Reilly. Just say every Preds loss should just open your eyes and say, let's do this thing. It makes more sense money-wise. I'd love Nas, but unfortunately the length of the deal and some, that hurts Calgary as well. It hurts everybody in making that more feasible. Raj, we haven't talked about Arturi Lekkonen's injury, and does that up the urgency? Does that up the urgency to add to the middle six?
I do think it ups the urgency depending on how long he's out. Now, Jared Bednar did tell reporters, and this is coming from Montano and Arif Dean and Corey Maziak. And then I haven't watched the video of Coach Bednar quite yet, but to summarize, they said Bednar told everyone that Lecky will not be an option tomorrow and, quote, will miss some time. Now, with Jared Bednar, that could mean he's going to miss 2 weeks or he's going to miss 2 months. So I don't know until... Are we going to know by Friday? It's going to be an upper body week to week. That's what we're going to get. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's got week to week written all over it.
So, I mean, like, what does urgency mean when it comes to only having one game between now and when you stop making trades? Like, they're not going to make a trade tonight. They're not going to make a trade tomorrow morning.
Maybe it ups that. Maybe, who's next? Oh, Anaheim tomorrow night. Yeah, you can't even get somebody in. Yeah, I mean, you make the trade in the morning. You can't even get them in tomorrow night. And you're right that, well, I guess, maybe in another world they wait until Friday proper. That's when the trade deadline is, right? And then they play Dallas that night. So you wouldn't get whoever you traded for on Friday in by the game in Dallas that night. Maybe that makes them think we got to get this deal done by Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can get, whichever middle six player we want in for the Dallas game on Friday night, since we know we're not going to have Arturi Lekkonen.
That's going to be a hell of a game, too. Dallas has won 9 straight. They are 6 points back. You still have a game in hand against the Dallas Stars. They bitch slapped Vancouver tonight. Evander Kane scored early in the first period, and then Dallas rattled off like 6 straight. They basically tripled up Vancouver in shots tonight. The Canucks are a dumpster fire. Kane,
the worst team in the league. You know a name you mentioned there, though, Evander Kane. Haven't talked about that in a hot second.
No, but I mean, if Vancouver wants to retain some salary on Evander Kane, I would be willing to have him here as a bottom 6 player. A little bit of like Corey Perry wasn't a game breaker today, but he was annoying, and I could use a little bit more of like big-bodied piece of shit guy to, not piece of shit guy, but piece of shit to play against.
Yes, I know.
I don't know Evander Kane from Adam or his personal life.
Yeah, like we would call Cody McLeod a piece of shit guy to play against. Piece of shit
to play against, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, that could be a guy that comes here to Colorado before Friday's game. And that would be a really fun. Imagine being able to introduce him to the Colorado-Dallas rivalry Friday night in Dallas. And that place is going to be as close to a playoff atmosphere as you can get. I'm pretty confident in the 1 seed right now, but look at the standings. If the playoffs started tomorrow, look who your opponent would be. You're going to hate this.
Is it Anaheim?
It is the Edmonton Oilers.
The Edmonton Oilers.
The Edmonton Oilers, who can't keep the puck out of their own net. Leon Draisaitl, and I quote him, "It's really hard to score 5 or 6 goals a game." The Oilers have 66 points out, as do the Utah Mammoth. Currently trailing in that final spot are the San Jose Sharks, 4 points back with 3 games in hand. The Nashville Predators and LA Kings are both 4 points back with 1 game in hand in Edmonton. Seattle, thanks to their 2-1 win this evening at home against Carolina, jumps up 1 point ahead of Edmonton, and Seattle has the game in hand. How much would that suck if we go through this whole season begging for the 1 seed because you have to make sure that you don't see Dallas or Minnesota in the first round, and you get Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and you have to go through that gauntlet instead? Instead of getting the Seattle Kraken or the San Jose Sharks or the Utah freaking Mammoth, you have to go up against the Olympic MVP and a team that's been to the Cup final 2 years in a row. And then, oh, lo and behold, if you beat them, you get the winner of the Dallas and Minnesota series. And then if you beat them, you're probably faced off against the Vegas Golden Knights. That would be brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely the least preferred of the possible 1-8 matchups that Colorado could see. I mean, Edmonton, yeah, they are in a little bit of a funk here. They've lost at least like 4 out of their last 5, at least. But their 1 win the other night was in LA. They fucked the Kings up 8-1.
Yeah, they did.
So you look at, I mean, Colorado just saw that same team tonight, and they had a great third period, their best period in some time. You see what Edmonton's capable of, though. They can just go put 8 on your ass. And so no matter what struggles they might be going through, that's dangerous. I think the Avs win that series. I do. I think that the goaltending is just going to fail Edmonton. The Tristan Jarry trade was nothing. They actually kind of lost capital, all said and done, with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at what Stuart Skinner has done in Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
He's been very good in Pittsburgh, and Jarry has not been good in Edmonton. They've had Connor Ingram come in. Did you see the goal Connor Ingram led up in the San Jose loss a couple of days ago?
I did not.
It was one of the most heinous goals I've ever seen a goalie let up. He went to go play the puck in the corner.
He went full Mike Smith?
Went full Mike Smith and sent, puck gets knocked in. Guys aren't even past the red line. He sends a puck, and Macklin Celebrini just sits there in the neutral zone and is like, oh, thanks. And he has to sprint back from the corner. It was like the most ridiculous, boneheaded play I've ever seen. The most Edmonton Oilers goaltender play I have ever seen. Mike Smith has done that a time or two in a game I've watched.
You know what? San Jose is 4 points back of Edmonton, as are the Kings. But San Jose, they just, they just got 2 points. They had the 5-4 win over Edmonton in that last game. So that could be something like a last day of the season. If the Sharks have a chance to jump Edmonton, then you could look back on that boneheaded decision by Connor Ingram, and the Oilers could miss the playoffs. That's possible. I'm talking about the 8th seed. I mean, they're almost too veteran, and it would be too weird. But holy shit, how good is Celebrini? The Sharks could do that.
The Sharks would have to make another move. I think the Sharks would have to swing for who are the best players available. Let me open up. I think the Athletics trade board is pretty darn good.
What if the Sharks went and got Nas? I bet they could actually fit that.
They're pretty deep down the middle. The Sharks have done a really good job in this rebuild and this build through the draft of making sure they get centermen. I've been really impressed with them. Our trade board 8.0 from Chris Johnston of The Athletic has Trocheck's not going west. We've already learned that. Kadri could be the guy. Maybe Robert Thomas trades hands from St. Louis to San Jose. That would make them that pretty dangerous. The defensemen that are on the trade blocks right now, Dougie Hamilton, Rasmus Ristolainen.
Because San Jose,
Chen.
They are in a position to trade for somebody who, has a few years left on their deal, because they're going to try to win next season. They got one of the best
San Jose
young
is ready to
players
knock
in the league.
on the door for sure.
So you can
They're
kind
ready
of
to knock
start
on
it
the door
right now. And just get if you got the 8th seed as the Sharks, that's got you feeling really good. You're losing to the Avs in the first round, but guess what? You're saying, hey, we got there and we got that experience. I bet
it matters.
I bet San Jose would get a game on Colorado.
Yeah, I could see that being a 5-game series for sure.
Yeah.
They don't have the goaltending right now. I don't trust Yaro Askarov yet, but I mean, look at what Spencer Knight's doing in Chicago. When you have those goalies of that pedigree, and Spencer Knight and Yaroslav Askarov are the two highest rated goaltenders going into a draft. Dude, it's been since like Rick DiPietro and Carey Price, like those, maybe Andrei Vasilevsky, but he even fell down later on in the first round. Those two players were like can't miss goalies. And now that they're getting their chance to be the number one star, Chicago's got their goaltender for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. San Jose's got their goaltender for the next decade as well. Those two teams are building it the right way for sure.
Yeah, just wild that the Panthers gave up on Spencer Knight so quick. And similarly,
I don't know if they gave up on him, right? Like,
he's so young,
but like when was he going to play? Like, it's not like he was going to start over a future Hall of Famer.
He's still effective, but that's upper 30s.
Yeah, Bob's got to be 37 or 38. Like, I don't know if he's going to.
And you knew that. You knew, like, granted, Florida's in, Tkachuk's back. Matthew Tkachuk's back.
Florida's out. There's no chance, man. I think the East is way too deep right now. That's
crazy.
Florida's 8 points back, man. 8. Damn. They're not making the postseason. They're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they are. That snuck up on me. They're over 500. Gosh, goes to show that conference is a bunch of. I mean, Buffalo. Oh my gosh, I saw some stat where like it was like Buffalo and Colorado are the only two teams. It was something about being really good in even strength 5-on-5. Like Colorado 1, Buffalo 2 since like the new year or something like that. Like Buffalo 5-on-5 is the second best team in the NHL behind Colorado. Or something like it's some really good stat like that.
The Sabres are like a lock to make the playoffs. They've got 35 wins, the Sabres.
Dude, they're legit. The Sabres have become legit.
I love that. I love that for that fan base. The Eastern Conference is nuts, man. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, and Detroit, as of right now. Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders in the Metro, followed by the Montreal Canadiens, who everyone who listens to this show, you and I love.
And then team, yeah.
There's probably 5 teams that are still viable. I would cut it to 4. And those 5 teams are Boston, Washington, Columbus, Philadelphia. If you want to add Ottawa in there, you can. I don't believe in them at all. But like Toronto's dead in the crib. Florida's been too injured. And honestly, you know what it feels like Florida's doing? Does Florida have a first-round draft pick this year? Let me look at Puckpedia. I want to say they don't, because that would be worst case Ontario for them, is if they like suck and they don't
I wonder
have a pick.
Who, and now I'm curious, if they don't have it, who has it?
They do not. Part of the Seth Jones and Spencer Knight draft trade, the Florida Panthers acquire Seth Jones and a 2026 4th-round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks for Spencer Knight and a 2026 first.
What a trade for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Wow. What? So Chicago could miss the playoffs and also get a top 10 pick from Florida this year. I don't think there's any trade protections on that selection. I'm looking right now.
I sure hope not.
Sorry. Hold on. Pick slide. This is tough. This is really tough. The pick slides to 2027 unprotected if either this year's pick is top 10 for Florida, which as of right now, I believe it would be, or the 2026 that they sent to Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk. I'm trying to read this correctly. This is what Puckpedia says, Spring. Pick slides to 2027 unprotected if either 2026 first rounder is a top 10 or a 2026 first rounder sent to Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk trade. Weird.
Do they still have that pick from the Kachuk trade? They might not even have
Yes.
that pick anymore.
Oh, no, they don't.
Oh, wait, no. Yeah, they sent it to Calgary. So Calgary has that pick.
Okay, so then that is resolved. So this will slide if Florida is a top 10 pick this year.
It'll slide to 27.
Which would
and then
suck.
Barkov's back next year.
And then Florida's in the East Final again. As of right now, hold on, Spring. As of right now, and I don't know if this is updated tonight, Florida is currently picking number 11.
Man,
so they would lose the pick.
Because they're over 500.
They would lose the pick.
That's how loaded the East is. You could be like the worst team in the East. Well, I say loaded, but just like, a lot of the same. Actually, no, the Rangers and Devils are worse. Man, look at where we were from like the first couple months of the season. The Devils were one of the top teams in the Metro.
The Hughes injury changed everything.
The Hughes injury did change everything. In Chicago, look, man, and that's in the Central. You got Bedard, you got the decent young talent, a goaltender, good young goaltender. Now you're looking at probably 2 picks in the lottery. Good for them. And it makes the Central even tougher.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen between now and Friday. Like, I feel like a few big time names can move, but I also feel like it'd be a snoozy trade deadline, and you don't see a lot of names moved until the draft.
I think the Avs are. I know the Avs are doing something. I know they've got
10 million. They've got 10 million in
cap
space. They have to, right?
Exactly. They didn't have to trade Girard until the offseason.
Right. You could have done it at the draft.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to.
Yeah. So that
tells me. And you knew that you were up against the cap with Kale.
Yeah. And I think they know because look, now with Lehkonen out, you're putting probably Ross Colton into the top 6, but it goes to show, and we talked about this. If Ross is your best in the bottom 6, you need Parker Kelly's been great. Jack Drury wins faceoffs and is a solid player. Olofsson has moments, but that dude's streaky. I mean, you really are learning, and it's kind of as advertised. Victor Olofsson is streaky.
Almost scored tonight. Really good save from Forsberg.
He did.
And then also decided not to shoot a puck for no reason. It would have been a wide open goal.
Sure.
The most abs thing ever.
Spring, you need one extra. You need that one extra guy.
You know who I was eyeing that wasn't a big name for the bottom 6, and it comes off the heels of us talking about the team that he's on right now. Evan Rodriguez would be really, really cheap.
He would be, and I'm sure that they have tiers of like dream scenarios. This is Sakic and McFarland, like dream scenarios down to, okay, if everyone that we kind of really wanted went for either too high of a price or didn't get moved at all because the price was too high, or the Avs Avs weren't willing to go to a certain level for whoever. I'm sure a guy like Evan Rodriguez is on that, I'll call it bargain bin list, which is not doing as much of a service as it should be, but like the savvy, okay. Yeah, I think bargain bin is pretty good. I get some great shit on the bargain shelf. Are you kidding me? Give me an Evan Rodriguez on that discount rack.
Yeah, Rodriguez, $3 million a year. He's 32 years old, a right-handed shot. We've seen him here in Colorado play very well and exceed expectations. The reason why, honestly, he's probably still not here in Colorado is that he played his way out of an Avs jersey. He's got one more year left on his deal at $3 million, so he's not a free agent, which is something that I don't know if the Avs would be willing to take in. But $3 million is like that ain't nothing once the cap jumps up to $104.5 million next year. If they want to move Evan Rodriguez for a mid-round pick, I'm your dance partner. The Avs have Avs have 2 4th-round picks. They have 3 5th-round picks this year. They have 2 2nd rounds next year and 2 5th rounds next year.
It's still if you got someone like an O'Reilly though, I mean that's a difference maker.
It's a game changer.
I think Evan Rodriguez is a good player, but it wouldn't hit quite the same. Now, I don't know if someone like that's even going to get moved. If he did get moved, you'd look at it, you'd Monday morning quarterback it and say, what did the other team give up to get him? Could the Avs have met that price? Or maybe he doesn't get moved, So I want someone like that, Trocheck would be fun too. Someone with just a little more oomph. But if it is Evan Rodriguez, if it's somebody on that level, I just hope that it wasn't because the Avs didn't hesitate just a little bit to, get an O'Reilly if he does ultimately get moved.
I've seen a lot of people of like, how does the locker room feel? And I think G. Bruin just asked, how's the locker room feel about Ryan O'Reilly? Dude, there's like 2 players on this roster that have ever played with Ryan O'Reilly. Nathan MacKinnon was like 18 years old, and Gabe may have been 21 the last time that those 2 dudes played together. Like, that really ain't a thing. That's ancient history. The last time he was in Colorado was over a decade ago. A decade ago.
No, you see this all the time. Like, guys, Vance Joseph came back to the Broncos, and I'm sure there's better examples than that. I don't know why that was the first one that I don't think that's a bad one, though. I think that's pretty appropriate. I know it's a coach, but still, it doesn't matter. This is a business. And dude, that O'Reilly's a pro, won a cup with the Blues, the guy's respected. He works his ass off. He's older now. He's like mature. All these dudes are grown up. Everyone thinks that like, oh, well, not everyone. A lot of Avs fans do know that like Matt Duchene and Gabe Landeskog are like best friends. Like none of that shit really even matters.
No, like Duchene would have been a wonderful fit in Colorado. Now,
they could have had him.
They could have had him. There's no ill will between those 2 guys. Dutchy had been here for a few years and was like, I want to play playoff hockey. And honestly, sure, you can say that.
Well, they could have had him like what did he sign, like 1 year, $3 million with the Stars or something?
Yeah, because Nashville had bought him out.
Yeah, like, there's a different world where bygones are bygones, and the Avs are like, we need I think maybe that's around the time where they got Zach Parise instead or something like that, but they could have just been like, screw it, we'll bring Duchene back. And guess what? Everyone would have been totally fine.
I would have been fine with it. I mean, he's had some really great seasons with the Dallas Stars, and he's obviously been an Avs killer. You'll always remember. I mean, it's so amazing. These last 2 playoff series have been ended by what used to be cornerstone Avalanche players. Matt Duchene in Game 6 in double overtime breaks your heart 2 years ago, and Mikko Rantanen scores a hat trick in Game 7. Right? Those were guys who, when drafted, you went, oh, like that's the next Forsberg and Sakic. That's the next Milan Hajduk. That's the next guy who's going to be raising a cup. And yes, Mikko Rantanen did so here in Colorado. Duchene just wasn't paired with the same level of talent. There were some good players here. He didn't have Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon alongside him.
Mm-hmm. And then many moons ago, O'Reilly, would he like wanted out, right? I mean, they were kind of
Colorado wasn't willing.
Area.
Colorado wasn't willing to pay Ryan O'Reilly what he thought he was worth at that time. And that's the reason why I believe Calgary offer sheeted him. Mm-hmm. I'm almost positive they did.
Yeah, it was Calgary.
And Colorado just at that time just wasn't willing to pay that price. And O'Reilly hadn't yet become the level of Conn Smythe winner that he would become with the St. Louis Blues back in that run in 2017. I didn't think he was top tier first line center money. And that's what his camp thought he was. Honestly, outside of that playoff run, he's never been top tier number 1 center type of guy in terms of production. Now, in terms of value for like where he played in the power play and how he played in the playoffs, which is why he won the Conn Smythe, I could see the money, but that came down to business negotiations. It like didn't end poorly. It was just Colorado went, you think you're worth more than you are, so we're not going to have it.
I think ultimately he kind of I think he proved he was right. I don't think he's not MacKinnon, but man, I view him in a similar way to Gabe. Like he turned into a heck of a player. And
he's a great player.
So, I agree, G. Bruin. Evan Rodriguez would kind of be pretty meh. But Ryan O'Reilly, that's the type of player that would juice me up. That would make like that's what makes it fun.
I'm not saying Evan Rodriguez is like my is my trade target. I'm going like, if you want to flip a 4th round pick that has a condition to become a 3rd for Evan Rodriguez.
I'm just saying that overall, I think we're all hoping for something that makes us move a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A name that makes us go, ooh.
That trade, dude, that Ryan O'Reilly trade was O'Reilly and Jamie McGinn, who was a solid player, to the Sabres for Nikita Zadorov, Mikhail Grigorenko, who just flopped and turned into nothing, JT Compher, and a 2nd rounder. That's a pretty good trade.
That was a good trade.
Like, you got a Stanley Cup winning 3rd-line center out of that.
Yeah, you did.
And I wonder who the 2nd round pick became.
I remember looking at this many years ago.
I'm going to guess that 2nd round pick didn't really turn into much. So that trade was made in June of 2015, and the Avalanche. So I'm going to assume it was a 2016 draft selection. So I'm going to go back to 2016. I'll find this hopefully quickly.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it was either, here's the 2nd round picks from 2016 to, oh no, I know who it was. It was AJ Greer. It was the 2015 NHL entry draft. It was AJ Greer, the guy that they took after selecting Mikko Rantanen 10th overall that season.
Hey, he ended up playing for the Panthers a little bit. Did he win a cup? Did
AJ Greer has 2 Stanley Cups.
He's got both of them?
He has 2 of them.
Look at that. What a trade that was.
2 of them.
And yet, I mean, Ryan O'Reilly became like a bona fide top 6 dude. Bona fide.
Yes. I think O'Reilly's stance of I'm worth more, you're correct. He proved.
Yeah, he did. He did. And so it'd be fun to have him back here. I love Nas. I just don't know if it can work money-wise. And Evander Kane would juice me up more than that. Like that would be fun. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that just would be fun.
Yeah, you
if Evander Kane was on this team.
Someone lights up, Brindley, or someone lights up Kale or something like that, or takes a cheap shot against any one of your smaller players, Sam Malinsky. It's not just Gabe Landeskog and Josh Manson going after that player. It's not just Brent Burns stepping in. Evan Rodriguez would be the first guy to the party.
Oh, he would? Evander Kane would be somebody that would piss the other team off.
I mean Evander Kane.
I mean, Evan Rodriguez would put his hands in there. He would pull some people apart. Evander Kane. Yeah, it's about time Dallas felt somebody. We had to put up with Jamie Benn and, Marchment's gone, but the whole deal.
Alexiak when he was a star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's let them feel. Let's let the Avs have always been a very nice team now, but hey, this was Gabe Landeskog's, like, okay, felt it coming last game. I saw him playing better. Gabe had a game today, and he's there. He can be that guy. He is that guy. He's going to be that guy who protects everybody, and obviously Josh Manson, but another little pinch of crazy. Like, just throw a little fucking crazy in this thing.
A wild card.
Yeah, throw a little wild card in here.
Wild card. All right, Spring. It's late. It's 12:30.
Yeah, get out of there, man. You're at the studios. You got to go home.
Yeah, I'm tired, and I have to wake up to prep another show. We're gonna call it quits tonight because guess what? Right around this time tomorrow, we're right back at it. Now, it's going to be earlier because neither one of us are on network. So game ends probably around 11 p.m. We're going to be right there right after the final buzzer in Anaheim between the Avs and the Ducks. Avs win 4-2 over the Kings, 6-point lead over Dallas. Game in hand, 3-point nights from Marty Necas and Gabriel Landeskog. And Nathan McKinnon scores his 41st. We only have 4 more days until the NHL's trade deadline. We're going to have our finger on the pulse of what happens tomorrow. More trade deadline talk tomorrow in between the pipes. But for Spring, I'm Raj. Thanks for listening. Love you. Good night. Talk to you tomorrow.